Hello, welcome. This is Journey to Positive Choices. I'm Doug McWhorter. Have several guests today. I have my wife Sharon has joined us again, and then we have some friends of ours that we go to church with, Melody and Craig Marsh, and we're so glad that you guys joined us today. So welcome to the podcast, Journey to Positive Choices. I was talking to Melody one day, and we decided that we wanted to do a podcast on taking care of our elderly parents, because Melody and Craig take care of Melody's dad, and Sharon and I take care of my mom, and we took care of my dad when he was living here. And I believe God instructs us in several different ways that we are to care for our parents and care for the elderly in our church and in our community. Would you agree with that, Sharon?
I do agree with that.
Melody, are you?
Yes.
Because the Bible has there's a lot of different verses in the Bible, and one of them that I always go to is honor your father and mother as the Lord commanded you. And I believe that word honor is a big word. I believe it means a lot of things, not just that we are to respect them and we are to honor them, but we are to help take care of them, I believe. They took care of us from the day that we were born, and my mom thinks she's still taking care of me, and I'm fixing to be 65 years old. Well, it's the same way with our kids. We take care of them from the day that they're born till the day we're not here anymore, or the day that they're not here anymore. And it never stops. So at some point, though, our parents reach an age or a time in their life where it's time that we kind of take care of them. So Melody, would you like to kind of tell us a little bit of your story of?
Yes. So, my dad is 82, and he's been the most independent. I mean, he's lived by himself. He's taken care of himself. Goes to the doctor, grocery store, drives everywhere. He's so independent, and I will say, growing up, he was pretty rough. I mean, we didn't have the best relationship. I loved my dad and he loved me, but growing up, we just weren't real close. He and my mom divorced, actually twice. So when I was little, and then they got back together, and then they divorced when I was an adult, and that was very, very hard on me. And almost felt like I had to choose sides, kind of, but because it was ugly divorce, and my mom was very hurt in the situation, so that kind of estranged me a little bit more from my dad. And so we didn't have a real close relationship, and but he didn't really have anybody else in his life. He has me and then my brother, and my brother and he aren't close. So anyway, he one day one evening, it was about 10 o'clock at night, I got a notice on my phone. It was a text message from his phone that said he had fallen, and ended up he had fallen and had a brain injury.
Wow.
So he had a brain injury, and he ended up in the hospital. Didn't know his name. After several days, he didn't know my name. He didn't know, he had severe, at that point, severe brain damage. And finally, thank goodness he did gain his functions back. He was able to, he could learn, he relearned most things, but he can't live by himself again. And so that's been hard on him, because, went from being so independent to now living with me in my house. And I mean, basically, I have to tell him what to do, and he doesn't like that, and so he gets kind of
Frustrated.
Yes, yes, it's hard on. So
Well, it's new for everybody. It's new for him. It's new for you
yes,
and your family, and what you have to go through. You have to make a change as well.
yes,
And we kind of experienced that too with my father. When they moved out here, they were pretty, I mean, they could take care of themselves. They could cook, they still drove, and, you know, did all of those things. We just had them here so we could help kind of just watch and over them and
Yeah.
do whatever we needed to do. Well, as time went on, my dad, he had Alzheimer's, and it got to where he had a hard time remembering a lot of things, and I had to take away the driving privileges, you know. And I mean, and you are right, because it's not that I'm taking the driving privilege away, it's I'm taking his independence
it's it.
away.
It's it.
And some of the decisions that we had to make takes that independence away. So the hardest part that Sharon and I struggled with, and we'll talk about my dad right now, I mean, it was making those decisions, and which were better for him, but he didn't
understand.
he didn't understand, and he didn't like them.
That's how we are as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted a doctor to tell him. I thought, okay, I'll just get a doctor to tell him he can't drive anymore. And the doctors, none of them want to take that. So they put it
won't.
back on me
Yeah.
to make that decision.
The doctors will tell you that it's not safe for you to drive, but they cannot tell
They
you
leave the decision up to
Yes.
us.
you cannot do it.
That was so.
We had to do that with my dad, and then we had to do it with my mom, and we had to do it twice. And you're right, because what the doctor told us was we cannot physically tell her and take her car.
Yeah.
Now, we will say we strongly suggest and we strongly urge that you do not drive.
Yes.
And so we had to kind of take it from there. And we had some things that happened that we said, okay, that, you know, enough's enough. We can't allow you to drive. And I mean, and it was hard. And it's not, I don't think it's just, I think driving, the driving part was hard. But also, okay, you don't need to be going here, you don't need to be going there. My mom and dad were very used to going to New Mexico, camping and doing whatever, you know, going here or going down to the coast or doing what, and, you know, we had to kind of say, well,
You can't go anymore unless
you can't
we got.
Yeah.
do that. Because they would get themselves into a situation that they did not know how to make a decision. It happened at the grocery store several times that they got into a situation that they had to make a decision. They couldn't do it,
Yes.
and
They had strangers bring
they
them home.
they had people we didn't even know
remember
they
how
didn't
to
even
get
know that
home.
brought them home.
Yes, my
He
dad
did.
He did. So he has decided I'll let him start driving a little bit, because then I've got on my phone, I can watch
You
where
can
he
track
is, yes. And so I let him go, and I thought, you know, he's gonna, I drove with him and I could see that he could kind of, you know, he knew what he was doing, he was driving, but I was worried just about him getting lost. Well, he did get lost one time, but he found his way home, but now he's not as quick to just jump in the car now. He knows, which is good, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
But the thing that I have found in the biggest thing, and this has been about 3, almost 4 months now, that he's been living with us full time. It has allowed me to have a relationship with him that I never had before. a different relationship, you know, and so I do appreciate that, even though it's hard. I mean, yes, it's hard. I make him breakfast every morning. You know, between the two of us, we have dinner for him every night. We have to, you know, I can't just hop in the car and go off somewhere because I think, well, I've got to take care of Dad, and so it's a lot. But I am able to have a relationship with him that I never had before, which is,
And that's something I think God wants
Exactly.
us to do, and it may not say in the Bible exactly, go
Yeah.
take care of your parents, you know, but it does. There are many verses, and we can read some of those, and that tell us we're supposed to take care of our elderly.
yes,
You know,
Yes.
our family. And is it always fun? Heck no.
yeah,
But we love them,
Yeah.
and we care, and you know that's what we're supposed to do.
That's right.
Well, and I think that we rely on God when we see ourselves going into this type of situation where we have to do it. I mean, we had to really pray about what we needed to do, and we had to rely on God, even though it was not a popular decision. You know, we had to rely on God to help us with that. And with my dad, I mean, it got to the point that we had to put him in a home. And did I want to? No, nobody wants to do that. But you know what? For his physical well-being, for my mother's physical well-being, for Sharon's physical well-being and mine, that's what we had to do, you know. And I have a brother, and we talked about it, and we both decided that's what has to be done. Well, and you know, and my dad lived there for a little while, and he passed away. But now we take care of my mom, and Sharon makes her meals every day. We take
Just
her
like y'all do, yeah.
we take her medicine every day. We have a group that comes in with Gentiva, and they are a wonderful group. They come in and make sure she's bathed, and the nurses come and take all her vitals, and you know, make sure she's
The
doing
nurse
well.
comes twice a week, and the
Aides come
aides
three
come 3
times.
days a week.
And then we have a social worker that comes in and sits down and visit. They just come in to visit, and my mom loves it, you know.
It's been good for her.
But it's something that I think God blessed us with and led us to with my dad, because they worked with my dad also, and now they're working with my mom. And it, you know, it's great. 1 Timothy 5:8. I'm gonna use this verse. It says, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." That's pretty strong. And what I believe it's saying is that we need to look to God to take care of our immediate family. That's what God has provided us, and we are to take care of the things that God has given to us. You know, and so that verse really, when I read it, I had to read it a couple of times, and I was like, okay, well, there's no denying what that says. You know.
right.
And another one, like Proverbs 23:22 says, "Listen to your father, he gave you life. Do not despise your mother when she's old." Take care of them. They took care of you. And I have to remind myself of that a lot of times. You know, that, I mean, my mom raised my brother and I, and my dad did, and, you know, and she still, to this day,
I still think she still has, and your dad probably as well, they still have a lot of wise wisdom to give us, even though they may be struggling in areas. You know, like you said, you're forming a great relationship, and we still talk to her about some things, and you know, and she's a strong Christian, and she really helps us with her wisdom. And you know, physically, mentally, she may not be all capable of everything, but she still has that.
And my dad he has not been a Christian. He's not professing that. But I've been praying for the last 2 years. I've been just strongly just praying that God would save his soul, remove the blinders from his eyes and ears that have made him insensitive to the gospel or to the Holy Spirit. I've been praying that, and now he's in my house. And you know what God showed me the other day is the word says that me and my household will be saved. And I said, God, he's in my house now. He is back in that bedroom, and I am standing
You're
on
giving
that.
me chills.
That my household, he's in my household. He'll be saved. And so I feel like that is, God uses everything, and
That's
I feel
right.
like he's using
Everything bad can be brought to
That's
good.
right.
And there's going to be a point, I promise you, that he's going to bring you and your father together. That discussion
Oh,
of salvation is going to come up.
yeah. Yes.
It will come up. And my dad, before he passed, he was good.
Oh,
I mean, I knew my dad was a Christian, but he told me, he said, and I had a daughter that was killed when she was 15, and he said, I am ready to go see Mandy. And that I'm ready. And I knew that,
And what a great comfort to you
Yeah.
to know that and that's what I've told God. God, I want to know. Because my mom told me that when I was born, I was a newborn, that they had gone to church, and he walked the aisle, got saved, got baptized. So I said, God, it's not for me to judge whether he's, saved or not, but I want to know. I want him to profess that he is saved, that I know, so that when he does pass away, just like you
And
had
it
that
will
comfort.
come.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And that's something that there may be some people listening right now that they're struggling with that, because maybe their parents aren't doing well, or they don't know what their spiritual life is. And you know what? All you got to do, you got to give it to God and not pray about it, and let him handle that. Let him put you in that situation when the time is
That's
right.
right. That's right.
And I'm telling you, it will be right. Just like with Keith Hackfeld.
Yes.
Sharon and I went to see him way before this was probably a week before he passed away. And Keith and I had talked quite a bit before, but when I walked in, he told me the same thing. He said, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to heaven. And I said, Keith, I know you are. I said, now I'm a little mad at you.
Oh,
I said, because you're getting to go before me, and you're going to get to see my daughter before I do. He said, well, you don't worry about it, because I'll tell her. I said, that I know you and we're friends. And I said, oh, she probably already knows that. But, us as caregivers, we have to be ready for whatever. That's what I told Sharon. I said, my mom, bless her heart, she used to be a great cook. And, she just can't do it any longer. And I understand that. So we have to fix her. Sharon does. I say we. Sharon has to fix her meals to eat all the time, because she can't do it anymore. And so there are changes that the elderly go through that we, I believe, have to recognize, and we have to let God guide us.
Yes, he has definitely have to guide us, because this was not something I was used to. My parents, when they passed away, we helped them, but this has been something totally different in a way of taking care of someone. And I had to go to God a lot, because it was hard.
yeah.
It was hard, because sometimes they may say things you don't like hearing, and you have to be
Yeah.
a bad person and set them straight, and that's difficult. And they love you and you love them, but sometimes it
It gets very
can be very
difficult.
challenging.
Craig. You got your father-in-law in your house now.
I enjoy it.
Listen, he has been so wonderful though. He really has, and I appreciate him because he's been so good.
But it changes your
Yeah.
life a little.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great. And my mom, I mean, we go up there every day now and just sit down and visit for a little while. And Sharon may go up there 2 or 3 times, you know, and just visit. But this is something that is not ever going away. It's something that we, as we get older, we realize that, okay, we have parents that are aging now, and what are we going to have to do? We have people in our church that are that way, you know, that we should be taking care of or checking on or whatever, you know, God leads us to do. And I don't know, I'm kind of chasing a rabbit right now with different things, but I mean, you know, we're talking about our parents, but then there's,
But it's all elderly.
Yeah,
They
there's
don't have
all-
to be your parents. You know, you still need to help those in need. You know, the elderly. They're all around us.
yeah, they're everywhere. And I don't know, I feel burdened a lot of times because sometimes I think we just, the older folks are just put on the back shelf. You know, we're just going to concentrate on the young people that are coming, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
But once you reach a certain age, well, hey, it's great to have you sitting in that seat and giving your money to the church, you know. But it's like we forget.
And I with my dad in the other room. I mean, I work from home, which is a blessing because I can't be there. But I've got kids, I've got grandkids, and so now I work all day. I need to run out and take care of my kids. They need or the grandkids, and I start thinking, my dad has been stuck in that room. And I say stuck. I mean, he can do kind of what he wants, but I think
You have to kind of push them
I
though,
need.
'cause
What do I need to be doing for him? I mean, he has been so independent, and now he's stuck back there just waiting on. You know, I feel bad. I want to do something. I want him to enjoy life. I want him to enjoy, you know, and so that I feel kind of that burden of what can I do to make his life
Also-
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Also, you talking about that, I think we also get to a point you feel the guilt kind of because you do want them to have what life they have left. You want it to be precious for them and for them to enjoy, and as caretakers, it does put a burden on you because you do still have your family in your life, and that's where I think God comes in
Yeah.
very strongly, and you know you have to go to Him, and if we didn't have that, I don't think we could do it.
I don't think we'd have
I
that
don't.
balance. We would be leaning one way or the other. And I think God helps guide us.
And you do have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And see, that I think is definitely God because He has been showing me just in the last week, I'd say week or so, how important it is to rest. Because I find myself, I get up, I immediately start. I get him breakfast. I turn my computer on. I start working. I run in, do the dishes, go back in, do his laundry, do my, you know, I'm constantly
Your
doing
normal
something.
stuff that-
And then if I ever get a second, I think, or I'll go out and I'm doing the yard, and then go back to work, and I think, I feel bad if I sit down. Not bad, but I think this, you know, I shouldn't be sitting here doing something. I need
Right.
to be.
You need to be doing more.
Right, I can't just be sitting here doing nothing.
Mhm.
So God has been showing me it's okay to
rest.
rest. That's another story.
And you need to.
That's
It's hard to
exactly-
do though.
That's
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
You
But
need
I mean,
to.
I'm not. There's a limit. No. But that's true, and I'm for myself. I need to be okay with if I just go in there and lay down and do nothing. That's okay.
And I have to remind her to
So I'm not a rester.
slow down just a little bit, take a minute,
Yes.
because she'll just keep going and
Yes.
going and going and going.
And then I'll have a day of just falling apart.
Yeah, and so I think God does. I mean, He wants us to be caregivers. He wants us to help take care, but He also wants us to take care of
That's
ourselves.
exactly right.
Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else.
That's exactly
Right?
right. That's right.
And you know, I think it's very important that we do that, but we have to look to God for that balance. And you know, there's a lot of guilt that can come with decisions that you have to make. There's a lot of guilt that can come with things that go on or how you have to handle some things. Well, but God has given us the strength to do that, and let Him have that guilt. It's not, because it's really not guilt. It's what's best for that person. It's just they don't like it. You know, and they have a hard time understanding it. But you know what? After a little while, they always understand.
You know, I've been praying for your mom to eat, because we went through a time of we would take her food and she would not touch it.
She just didn't want to eat.
She just said, I'm ready to go to heaven, and she wouldn't touch it. And then we got the hospice group to come in, and I think it was the social part that helped, because now I cannot keep up with her eating. And I prayed for her to eat, and it's like,
God is so good.
He's
He
so
does,
good,
and
and
he
she's
guided
gaining
us.
That's
weight,
right.
and she's,
And
you know,
she's happy.
it's just like a turnaround, and it wasn't there, and we thought she's gonna die right here in front of us of starvation. That's literally what we thought, and it just turned around just like that. So
And with your dad, I know, you know, you fix him breakfast, and you know there's things you got to do, and you got to make sure he bathes and his clothes are clean, and you know, and I'm sure he likes to go outside, and you know, but he can't just go take off somewhere. But you know, there's things that God will show you that He can do, and He probably already has. And that's what, you know, if we have someone struggling with what we're experiencing, you know, my greatest advice to them is to get on your knees and let God have it. I mean, until you turn it over to Him, you're going to struggle with a lot of things, because I did. As a matter of fact, I struggled with a lot of anger.
yeah, we got very angry because they wouldn't do what we said.
And I mean, and I was fed up.
It makes you,
you know.
It does make you angry. It's like, I'm trying to help you, can't you understand?
But I was trying to do it.
Yes.
In your own self.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of letting God work through me, I was trying to do it. You know, and once I was like, okay, I'm done. You know, well, God said, no, you're not. You know, you're just talking. You know, and He said, listen to me, work with me. You know, and so we did, and things have got much better, and things are turning around. And it's that old deal of we weren't taking care of ourselves. We were doing it ourselves, and we weren't listening, and we were getting angry, and it was just falling apart. You know, but now it's a lot better. So do you have anything that you would like to just share before we end it?
I'm just thankful that I'm not thankful that it happened, but I'm thankful that God has used it, and that He's using it for good. And I don't feel upset because I'm getting to spend time with my dad that I wouldn't have gotten to spend if it hadn't happened like this, to where he got to come live with me. And I say it, I get to take care of him. Does it always feel like it's a great thing? No, but I get to take.
It is an honor.
Yes,
It really
it is an honor, and I get to take care of him and spend time with him and get to know him and appreciate appreciate him. You know, before there was that, not always anger, but that other side of growing up in that situation. Now I have a different perspective of my dad. So.
And I believe that that's a God thing.
Yes.
That God has set things in motion to change your thoughts and your life and how you view your dad.
Yes.
And he's probably doing the same thing with your dad.
That's right. And I think in the end, it's all bringing it around for his salvation.
It is, and that's, that's powerful stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just like Sharon and I, we talked earlier, my mom has always been a very strong Southern Baptist Christian lady. And there are things that she will share with us that we're like, oh yeah, we need to think about those things. And I thank God that we get to take care of my mom, and I'm very thankful that my dad's in heaven, and one day I hope our kids take care of us.
I do too.
I've thought about that too. Yeah.
Sometimes I think, well, they're just gonna kick me to the curb, but no, I appreciate the time together, and I really feel like that after this, there's going to be opportunities that God puts in front of us. And I think there's others that may be in our same shoes, if you want to put it that way, that we're opening the doors for them to be able to come talk to us and say, man, I understand what do we do here? Can we help with this? I think God, this may be a beginning point of discussion for the elderly.
Yes.
And how we as siblings or we as people help take care of them.
And to Sharon's point, maybe not even just family, maybe
That's right.
outside of family.
It may be somebody that we run into or that we
Yeah.
go to church with or that we know,
Yes.
and well, again, I appreciate you two being here, Craig and Melody and Sharon. I always enjoy when we do podcasts together. She's always like, well, I don't know about, but I love doing podcasts with my wife. I think she has some very good insight. But if there's anyone out there that would like to get in touch with us, you can go to our website at www.journey2positivechoices.com. That's journey, the number 2, positivechoices.com. And we'd love to hear from you, or if you need us to get in touch with you, just write to us. If you'd like to donate or be a sponsor of this program, you can also go to that website and reach out to us, and we'll get back in touch with you about that. Well, thank you, and God bless, and I look forward to the next time.